Hi everyone, thank you very much for attending this session. My name is Joshua Woodward, and today I'm going to be talking about training methods and reported problem behaviours in a cohort of dogs. I am an employee of Dogs Trust, as are several of the co-authors for this study. In this presentation, I will first give an overview of the Generation Pup project, which provided the data for this study. Then I'll discuss a bit of background behind dog training approaches, talk about the methodology for this study, and then go over the results and areas for future investigation. All of the dogs that you'll see in the slides are participants in the Generation Pup project. So what is Generation Pup? Generation Pup is an ongoing longitudinal study aiming to have 10,000 puppy participants, and we currently have over 4,000 puppies taking part in the study. We are recruiting puppies of any breed or crossbreed that are under 16 weeks of age at the time of registration who are living in the UK or Republic of Ireland. The broad aims of the study are first to report the incidence of health and behavioural problems, and secondly to identify risk factors for health and behaviour outcomes, including how early life factors impact outcomes later in the dog's life. Using this information, we can then inform prevention strategies designed to improve canine welfare. The main focus for participants is the completion of online or paper copies of questionnaires issued at specific time points during the dog's life. As there are lots of developmental events early in the dog's life, there are also many survey points in the first 18 months. From 18 months onwards, there is a questionnaire issued every 6 months. As well as the questionnaires, owners can opt into receiving specially designed vet cards to collect information like dental scoring, which they can take into the vets with them. Owners can also consent for us to access their dog's clinical histories and choose to collect non-invasive samples from their dog. Now a bit of background on dog training. Most domestic dogs typically receive some sort of basic training, for example a sit or dropping an item on command. In addition, domestic dogs commonly display behaviours which owners find incompatible with their expectations and might be a problem for them. Therefore, many dogs receive training from their owners to eliminate or reduce the frequency of these undesirable behaviours. Broadly, training approaches can be categorized as being either reward-based or aversive. For example, treat feeding or praise are reward-based methods, and a physical reprimand or telling off the dog are aversive methods. In previous studies, aversive training methods have been shown to have negative consequences, including compromising the welfare of the dog, causing a breakdown of the dog-owner relationship, in some cases provoking owner-directed aggression, and suppress the ability of dogs to learn new behaviours. So the aim of this study was to investigate whether there was evidence of a relationship between an owner's training approach at one point in time and subsequent owner-reported problem behaviour later in the dog's life. Data for this study was provided by 684 participants in the Generation Pup project. So what I wanted to do was take owner-reported training information from one time point and investigate whether this was a risk factor for owner-reported problem behaviour at the next time point. For example, was training approach at 9 months a risk factor for reported problem behaviour at 12 months? I did this for 3 different time point comparisons within the first 12 months of the dog's lives. This is the question we ask owners regarding their training approaches. The question at registration is slightly different to the question set used in the 12 to 16 week and 9-month questionnaires, where we ask for a little more information. The information collected at registration is also what methods owners intend to use, whereas 12 to 16 weeks and 9 months we ask about the training methods the owners are using at that time. Owners could pick from a list of predefined training methods and provide a free text response. The free text responses for this study were coded into the pre-existing categories. I'm just going to leave this slide up for a moment before moving on, but these are the predefined options available to the owners, categorized by whether they are reward-based or aversive in nature. I took these training categories and assigned owners into two groups based on their responses. The first group consisted of owners that reported intending to use or using only reward-based training methods. The second group consisted of owners that reported intending to use or using a mixture of both reward-based methods and two or more aversive methods. The reason for using two or more aversive methods was to avoid including owners that may have told their dog off once and instead resemble more of a training approach. These groups will be referred to as reward-based training and the second group as reward and aversive training. In each of the questionnaires, we asked owners if their puppy was showing a behaviour that they found a problem. This was a simple binary yes or no response, followed by a free text box where they could describe the specific behaviour they found a problem. For this study though, the specific behaviour was not looked at, just the presence or absence of an owner-reported problem behaviour. For this study, I used univariable logistic regression, modelling the training approach at one time point as a binary predictor for the presence or absence of a problem behaviour at the next time point. Other behaviours reported elsewhere in the questionnaire were not analysed in this study, only behaviours that the owner reported as being a problem for them. And the significance was set to 5%. So just a quick recap, this diagram outlines the three different models. So I was looking at the training approaches reported at registration and problem behaviour at 12 to 16 weeks. Then training approaches at 12 to 16 weeks and problem behaviour at 6 months, that's model 2. And then training approach at 9 months and subsequent problem behaviour reported at 12 months. In the first model, which was training intentions at registration and reported problem behaviour at 12 to 16 weeks, you can see a greater proportion of owners in the reward and aversive training group reporting a problem behaviour compared to the reward-based training group. There was statistical evidence of a relationship where owners intending to use a reward and aversive training approach at registration had 2.3 times the odds of reporting a behaviour they found a problem when their dog was 12 to 16 weeks of age. In the next model, which was training approach at 12 to 16 weeks and reported problem behaviour at 6 months, there was a similar trend to the previous model where a slightly greater proportion of owners reported a problem behaviour where they had also reported using a reward and aversive training approach at the previous time point. However, for this model, there was no statistical evidence for a relationship. Finally, in the third model, which was training approach at 9 months and reported problem behaviour at 12 months, again we can see a similar pattern where a higher proportion of owners using reward and aversive training reported a problem behaviour at the next time point compared to owners using a reward-based training approach. There was statistical evidence of a relationship where owners reporting a reward and aversive training approach at 9 months had 1.5 times the odds of reporting a behaviour they found a problem when their dog was 12 months old. In conclusion, we present preliminary evidence for a relationship between training approach and owner-reported problem behaviour. Dogs that were trained using a mixture of reward and aversive methods were more likely than dogs trained with purely reward-based methods to be showing behaviours that their owner found to be a problem. This was true for training intentions at registration and problem behaviour at 12 to 16 weeks, and training approach at 9 months and subsequent reported problem behaviour at 12 months. To investigate this relationship further, multivariable modeling, including training approach and other variables such as demographic data and existing behavior, should be conducted to control for other factors that may confound this relationship. Owner reports of training approach should also be evaluated by asking about their training methods in particular situations. For example, an owner may use an additional method like tugging on the lead to train loose lead walking, but not report this method when asked generally about their approach to training their dog. It's also important to examine the training-behavior relationship in the context of general dog behavior and not just behaviors that the owners are finding a problem. It could be that training approach influences behavior in more ways that can be revealed from just owner-reported problem behavior. I'd just like to thank first the Dogs Trust Canine Welfare Grant Committee, who funded Generation Pup for the first 3 years, and Dogs Trust for continuing to support the project. Finally, a huge thank you to our amazing Generation Pup owners for taking part and contributing to the project. Thank you very much.